Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film, where we discuss characters in terrible situations that we would never find ourselves in. I'm your host DP, and with me always is my co-host, a responsible adult with great problem-solving skills. So someone that you will not see in today's film, my friend Ruth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode.
Ruth, they didn't write a part for you in this movie.
No roles for adults with common sense, sadly. And in case you guys were wondering what the hell we're talking about, today we will be discussing Home Alone, the Christmas classic.
Can you believe that we're doing another Christmas movie? I can remember when we were talking about doing this movie when we did our last one.
Yeah, I know. So that was our very first bonus episode. Yeah. And we did Jingle All the Way, which was so fun. It was actually a user requested episode. So we were really excited to get the opportunity to do that because we don't typically do movies outside of the horror genre just because that's the nature of the podcast. But we just had a lot of fun doing that one. If you guys are interested, it was released in December of 2023. It was actually our bonus episode 1. It came out right after Black Christmas, which was one of our Christmas episodes that year. And that was episode 12, so it'll be right in that area. But obviously it's been a while since we've covered anything non-horror, and, you know, 'tis the season, so we just felt like it was a good opportunity to release this episode because we both really loved this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another bonus Christmas episode.
I think Home Alone is in the trifecta of holiday movies. This is why I just think general consensus. So I think it's Home Alone, A Christmas Story, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Dante, oh my god. In my household, when we're recording this episode, it is December 6th when we're recording this, everybody. We have already watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. No, I fucking wish. We've already watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 4 times. It's December 6th. The shit gets fucking played. And then I've had that damn song, It's Christmas Vacation, stuck in my head because Sebastian won't stop singing it. That movie gets heavy play in this house.
Triple platinum?
It's triple platinum in this house, but it's not one of my favorites. Anybody that knows me knows that Scrooged is my favorite Christmas movie. I really like Home Alone. I know this is very debatable, and I think that I mentioned this to you before. I don't know if this is blasphemy, but sometimes, depending on what mood I'm in, I actually like the second one better.
You like Home Alone 2 better, right?
Yes. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Me too.
Dante, see, this is why we're friends. I'm pretty sure we're in the minority with this, but I don't know. I really like the setting. I just think it's like more fun as hijinksy. You know, this one's set, it's just like the house is the focal point of the movie. In the second one, you're in the brownstone, which is, you know, I guess like the climax happens there, but you're also in the hotel. And so you get all the hotel staff, and you go to the park, and you go to the toy store, and he wanders the streets of New York. And it's just, I don't know, it's just more fun. He just gets into a lot more. And I know that that's debatable. I know that it did really well. I know that it didn't do nearly as well as this movie, but it's like, depending on what mood I'm in, I find 2 a lot more rewatchable than the first one.
I like the second one the best.
I like the second one. And I don't know if you remember this. It was such a phenomenon when it came out. Do you remember that recorder device that he had?
Yeah, I had one.
I had one too. I had a purple one because it was like the girl version. The old talk boy.
That was a fly toy to have.
It was like the toy to have. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. I like the second one more because not just the setting, but I think that the hotel staff is very clever. Tim Curry is in it.
I love that.
I really like how they incorporated the Wet Bandits back into the movie.
I agree.
And I also think that I don't know how to call this, Ruth, but I guess the reveal of Kevin missing is so much better in the second one. Kevin's not here. Kevin's not here. Kevin's not here. What?
Yeah. Passes Kevin. Kevin's not here. Kevin's not here. I thought they did a really, really good job with that. And additionally, we're going in, the name of the movie's Home Alone, right? Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. So we're like, what the hell's about to happen right now? Because we don't know. I love that he gets to the airport with them. Remember when she's going through the car and she's like, oh, Kevin, and he's in the front seat and he's like, I'm right here. Gets his ticket. She breathes a sigh of relief. We think we're good. We see that fucking camel-colored, very expensive trench coat running through the airport. We're like, oh, he's good, until he's fucking not. No. And then he boards his plane. He's in New York. I love that movie. I need to go watch that. But okay, back to Home Alone. Okay, so let's just go through this very quickly. So Home Alone, which I still love. I still think Home Alone is great. Oh, Don't get me wrong. So it was released in 1990. It was directed by Chris Columbus, which is amazing. So let's get into this really quickly because I really wanted to point this out. Directed by Chris Columbus, written by John Hughes, musical score by John Williams. I think that a lot of this movie's success has to do with the fact that this is a really, really, really strong team working on this movie. So Chris Columbus, not only does they all come back for Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, but Chris Columbus, you might recognize that name because he also directed one of our favorites, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Who is, oh girl.
We love Mrs. Doubtfire. But he directed that, which is amazing. He also directed the first two Harry Potter movies, Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. He also directed Rent, which I love. I think he knocked it out of the park with that. But he also wrote Gremlins and the screenplay for The Goonies. Then John Hughes, you probably know that name, powerhouse. He wrote Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He also wrote some of the bigger National Lampoon movies back in its heyday when it was under the original company. So he didn't write Animal House, the first one, but he did write National Lampoon's Class Reunion, National Lampoon's Vacation, National Lampoon's European Vacation, and of course the Christmas classic, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And he's written so many more movies. And then, of course, the score in this movie. This movie is scored so beautifully, and John Williams composed and produced the entire soundtrack, including that song, Somewhere in My Memory. And I'm so sorry, guys. It's the one that goes, Somewhere in My Memory. I'll never sing again, but that's like the song that you hear throughout the movie, and it fits perfectly whether it be instrumental or the singing. But he also did the music for Jaws, E.T., Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, the first 3 Harry Potter movies. So that music that we associate with Harry Potter, John Williams composed that. The only 2 nominations for Academy Awards for Home Alone, the movie, were for Best Original Song and Best Score, so it was both music for John Williams. He was nominated for both of those. He didn't ultimately win those. He actually lost to the score from Dances with Wolves, and then for Best Original Song, Sooner or Later, I Always Get My Man from the Dick Tracy soundtrack.
Oh my God.
Now, in the Dick Tracy's defense, because don't shit on Dick Tracy, because that is one of my favorite movies. I love Dick Tracy. But Dick Tracy almost got like 2 soundtracks. So there's the soundtrack to the actual movie, and then there's this other album. It's I'm Breathless. So it's a soundtrack album that's music from Dick Tracy, but it's all the songs that are performed by Madonna, including that song, Sooner or Later, I Always Get My Man. because Madonna plays the character Breathless Mahoney in the movie, who is a singer. So essentially, it was like a Madonna album with Dick Tracy music. And obviously, Madonna was like super hot at that time. So she was leaving there with something. It sucks that John Williams didn't get an award for this amazing, beautiful score. But it's like, you know, it was Madonna. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I say all of that to say, so the combination of John Hughes, Chris Columbus, John Williams, I mean, it really was just like a powerhouse team working on this movie. So it was always going to be good. But yes, so moving on. So obviously this movie is not a standalone movie. We already know that. But I don't think you guys realize just how many sequels there actually are. Let me blow y'all's mind right now because I was shook. So obviously we have Home Alone 2 Lost in New York that came out in 92. Same director, writer, music by the same person. I mean, almost the entire same cast with the exception of a few of the kids who we didn't miss. It's a direct sequel. It's great. We love it. But then there is Home Alone 3. So it was written by John Hughes, which I didn't realize. But it was not directed by Chris Columbus, and it does not focus on the McAllister family, so you don't get returning cast, you don't get Macaulay Culkin. There's also a fourth film, which I just learned about like 2 weeks ago, so it's Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. It's a made-for-TV film. No returning cast, but it apparently does feature some of the same characters from Home Alone. I can't give you much more detail on it than that. I've never watched it. I don't think I ever will. But no John Hughes this time. No Chris Columbus. There's a fifth installment of the movie, which I was clueless about. Had no idea. It's called Home Alone: The Holiday Heist. So that appeared originally on ABC Family in 2012. And just like the third film, it does not focus at all on the McAllister family, so there's no returning cast. Now, recently, they came out with a sixth film. If you want to look up the definition of, like, beating a dead horse, you would see this franchise in the dictionary, because it definitely didn't need a sixth movie. But this one is called...
Wait, you said a sixth movie? Is 6 of these more?
Yeah, so there's Home Alone, the fifth installment is Home Alone: The Holiday Heist.
Okay.
So then the sixth one is Home Sweet Home Alone.
Come on, y'all.
And it was released on Disney Plus in 2021. And apparently it is a new family. So I think it is focusing on a new family. I briefly read the description of it. It centers around dolls and stuff. It's very, very strange to me. But Devin Raytrey, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, he plays Buzz in the first two movies. He actually reprises his role in this movie. So you do get a McAllister cameo.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. Buzz.
Yeah. It's not what we asked for, but it's what we got.
That's like, we got a Jackson here. Who? Jackie. What?
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. I would have rather seen Fuller wet the bed. But no, we got Buzz. So, 6 movies.
That's wild.
I was very surprised. I was shocked. 6 Home Alone movies.
And let's just let them know now that, just like with Jingle All the Way 2, we will not be doing any more Home Alone movies after the second.
Yeah, no, I don't have any desire to watch it. I don't care about it. I don't care about the characters. I'm not invested.
Not even a little bit. I'm not even curious.
No. I only read the Wikipedia description of the 6th movie because I was like, well, where the hell does Buzz come in? What are you talking about?
That's weird.
But even in the Wikipedia description, it doesn't even mention where he comes in. So his part has to be very, very small.
Cameo.
Yeah. But Chris Columbus revealed, so I think that this might have been after the 6th installment with Buzz. So I think he was interviewed and he was discussing a sequel starring Kevin's son. And he said, quote, "This was talked about maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. We were just having fun with it. And we said, what if Kevin is an adult and he has a kid? But it was still Pesci and Stern, so Harry and Marv. And he said, Pesci and Stern are still obsessed with this kid. They're going to get this kid." So I guess getting revenge on Kevin by going after his son. Another idea that was once discussed involved an adult Kevin attempting revenge on Harry and Marv, who have reformed in the years since they last met. The studio declined to make the film despite Columbus and Culkin's interest in the role.
I don't like either one of those.
Neither do I.
First of all, Kevin would never leave his son.
That's what I was thinking, the same thing. I don't know if there is a scenario that you could come up with that would convince me that Kevin would leave his kid home alone. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't think I'd believe it.
First of all. And secondly, I couldn't imagine after watching those first two movies, Harry and Marv wanting any smoke from Kevin McAllister.
I think that at the very least, Marv is probably still dealing with the lifelong effects of the injuries that he received. And probably Harry too. And so no, I can't imagine that.
But hurting on their asses.
Yes.
He straight up electrocuted Marv.
Dante, that's why I said Marv would not, there's no way. He turned into a skeleton. Marv should be in his grave. But then Harry's head got set on fire again. And then remember when he dunked into that toilet and it was like kerosene? He should be dead.
Doesn't the room blow up?
Yes, Dante, he should be liquid.
The second movie is chaos, y'all. It's chaos.
But that's usually how it is, right? It gets real crazy in the second one because they're like, wow, bigger budget.
The body count was always bigger.
Yeah. And they were like, in this one, all we have is Harry and Marv, so let's make them suffer.
Guys, we can't wait to do that one.
Yeah, no, I love that movie. But yes, so beyond the sequels, a novelization was published alongside the film when it first came out. And then in 2015, for the 25th anniversary, an illustrated book was released as well. And then in 1991, there was also a board game that was released. And yeah, I think that's it for the intro. Was there anything that you wanted to add before we got started?
No, but I'm looking at the Home Alone book, and I think you can find it for $5.
Oh, yeah?
I want that book now.
Yeah, me too. We'll have to see if we can get it. But did you want to get started?
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right in. The movie opens in a very busy, hustling and bustling house with a police officer standing in the middle of the room just trying unsuccessfully to get literally anybody's attention. Tons of kids running around, lots going on. Meanwhile, upstairs, the homeowners, so there's Peter and Kate McAllister, they're packing for a trip, and Kate is on the phone explaining that a bulk of these errant children in the home are there because Peter's family is visiting for the holidays, and they are all going to be leaving in the morning for a trip. They're going to Paris. During all of this, Kate and Peter's youngest son, Kevin, comes in, and he's complaining that his Uncle Frank will not allow him to watch a movie that all the big kids are watching, even though it isn't even rated R. So he's really complaining, as children do. And then Kate responds in true mother fashion, "Can't you see I'm on the phone?" Which, in my household, would have been enough to shut the fuck up. Kevin doesn't respond the way that I think that you and I would in our households to a lot of situations. So not only does he not take that phrase as like a threat, Kevin ends up hopping on the bed in his outside clothes. He's laying across the suitcases that Kate is packing, and when she tells him to get off, he says, quote, "Why don't you hang up the phone and make me?" Dante.
It was shocking.
I was shocked. I would have suffered serious bodily harm saying something like that. But Kate just kind of rolls her eyes and has this, like, what am I going to do with this kid type attitude about the whole thing.
Well, Kevin's the baby. So the baby always doing stuff like that.
I wouldn't know for sure because I'm an only child. So it was just me. I had to learn it all, experience it all. You're a middle child, which I can't believe because you're so well adjusted.
I know. It's crazy. My sister says stuff like that all the time, though. She go back and forth. She goes back and forth, back and forth. I can imagine my sister saying something like that, though.
Why don't you hang up the phone and make me?
Not that like flippant, but something to the longer lines of like, whereas like I would say nothing, she would have said something.
Right. I just had to learn at a young age what the boundaries were.
Right.
But Kevin doesn't have boundaries. That's not a thing here, as we'll see. But let's keep going. That's when Dad comes in. After some more back and forth between them two, all of which just kind of really illustrates just how, like, flippant Kevin is. He's mischievous. He gets into a lot of things. Peter escorts him out of the room and hands him off to his aunt, Leslie McAllister. So, Leslie is Uncle Frank's wife. They live in Ohio. Now, I'm going to run down this now because it's a lot of fucking people. There's a lot of fucking people in this house. And there's a lot of people when we get to Paris. A lot of kids. And you're like, Jesus, how are all these people connected? Who are these people? Well, this is the breakdown. Peter is Kevin's father. Peter is one of 3 brothers. So these are the McAllister brothers. So you have Peter, you have Frank, who is an asshole, Uncle Frank. We meet him pretty early on. And then you have their brother, Rob. So Peter's married to Kate, who is Kevin's mom. Frank is married to Leslie, Aunt Leslie, who we just met. And then Rob is married to a woman named Georgette, who we see very, very briefly later. Frank and Pete, their whole families, they're going to visit their brother, Rob McAllister. So Peter and Kate, they live in Chicago. That's where this movie takes place. And then Frank and Leslie live in Ohio. That's where they live. They're here visiting. And then Rob and Georgette, who are arguably the richest members of this family, they live in Paris, but also have a second home in New York, which is where the second movie takes place. In the movie, Peter and Kate have children. So they have Buzz, who's a total fucking asshole, but he's the oldest. You have Megan, Lenny, Jeff, and then the baby, Kevin. So 5 kids total. Frank and Leslie have 4 biological kids. They are also here in the house right now. So you have Tracy, Sandra, Brooke, and Fuller, the youngest cousin in the house, and the one that unfortunately still wets the bed.
Respectfully, Frank and Leslie are too damn old to be having a child that young.
That's a really, really good point. So I don't know exactly how old Fuller is, but I think he's younger than Kevin, right? Like he might be like 2 years younger than Kevin.
He's definitely younger than Kevin.
He's Macaulay Culkin's little brother. And I think in real life, Kieran Culkin is 2 years younger than Macaulay Culkin.
Frank and Leslie, they look old.
They do look older.
If they told me Frank was Peter's dad, I'll believe it.
I would believe it too. But a lot of that is because Frank is bald. And in the 80s, early 90s, everybody kind of looked old.
Nah, it's not just the balding. It's the face.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right.
So then you have Rob and Georgette. They have kids too. So 2 of the kids in this movie are Rob and Georgette's. Heather, who is the oldest kid, she's like the 18-year-old. We're going to meet her soon. She's the one that is in charge of counting the kids. So that's how we know Heather. She is Rob and Georgette's child. Then you have Rod. If you remember him when he comes up, Rod is the boy that wears glasses that's in the room with Buzz when Buzz is telling the story about Old Man Marley and how he was a serial killer. Those 2 are Rob and Georgette's kids. So they have Heather, Rod, and then 3 other kids. So 5 in total, but we never meet the other 3. So there's a lot of fucking kids.
These boys really like to procreate.
Yes. So we're going to learn this from a conversation that Kate is having later, but Heather and Rod, the two kids of Rob and Georgette that we meet, they are here right now because they're actually living with Frank and Leslie while they finish school in the States, while their parents live in Paris full-time with the three younger kids. But that's the whole family tree. So in case you're wondering, it's a lot of fucking kids, but it's all three brothers, the McAllister family, their wives, and then all their kids.
They each have 5 kids.
Well, Frank and Leslie have 4.
Oh, shit.
But Peter and Rob each have 5, yeah. All right, but let's get back to it. So once Kevin gets handed off, his aunt tells him to go pack his suitcase. And this throws Kevin for a complete and total loop because Kevin is 8 years old.
And they're going to France.
They're going on an international trip. He's never packed a suitcase before in his whole life. Don't you think the boy might need some help?
No more will he might not pack the right stuff. He could pack something that shouldn't be on a plane.
Absolutely.
Even if it is pre 9/11. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's 8 years old.
Yeah. But he does what one does, I guess, when you live in a family with siblings, especially ones that are older than you.
My dad would have been like, if one of y'all don't get in that room and pack that goddamn suitcase for that boy.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So Kevin does the thing that you would expect him to do. He goes to ask his siblings for help because they are all older than him. With Buzz being the oldest, I think he's somewhere around 14 or 15 maybe. But they hate him, okay? So they use this as an opportunity to, like, absolutely shit on him. Now, when I say shit on him, it's not just like they're telling him no. No. They're calling him helpless. They're calling him an idiot.
Kevin, it's such a disease.
Because he's never packed for an international trip before. Like, who the fuck are these people? And then his sister Lenny, she's laughing at him and she's like, okay, Kevin, you know that mom's going to pack your suitcase anyway because you're what the French call les incompetents. He's 8. Can we be a little fucking for real right now? And just help your brother.
I don't like stuff like that.
I don't like stuff like that either. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck them, because I don't know if you noticed, Jeff puts his fucking toothbrush in his pocket. So it seems like none of y'all know what the fuck is going on. So maybe it was for the best that Kevin didn't get their advice anyway. But okay. So that's when Lenny also informs Kevin that he has to sleep on the pull-out sofa with Fuller, his cousin, who apparently wets the bed. It's a known issue.
So Frank brought his pissy-ass son here.
Yes. And it's really crazy that everybody is just so nonchalant about it because this little boy is too old to be peeing in the bed. But I digress. So when Lenny says this, it really causes Kevin to have a meltdown at this point. But he pulls himself together and he goes to talk to his brother, Buzz, who maybe, it's close, he might be the worst character in this entire movie. And there are some really... Carrie and Marv are trying to murder Kevin, but I still put Buzz up there as one of the worst characters in this movie. I cannot stand this fucking kid.
I don't like Buzz, the way he look, the way he talk, the stuff he says, his disposition. I hate Buzz.
As aggressive as that is, I have to agree, I do not like this kid.
I don't like the trope, or I guess this is very foreign to me, of you have an older brother and he just makes you feel like you are completely like a burden, like you're just such a problem.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of like trope because it's like, what daddy at being like, that's your little brother. Why you acting like that?
Right. No, Buzz has a lot of aggression, I guess.
Nerve.
That too.
With that face.
That is true. But he has a lot of animosity towards Kevin. And the parents, and this, they really drive this home a lot more in the second one. The second one, when we get to that, Dante, I'm getting pissed off thinking about it right now. The parents, so Pete and Kate never check Buzz. They never check this behavior. And a lot of people have issues with Kevin's behavior in the movie. And then, spoiler, there is a certain point where Kevin sits and does some self-reflection. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I could have been better. Yeah, Kevin is kind of a brat because he's the baby. He doesn't have a mom that, swats him in the mouth when he gets crazy. But Buzz's behavior is also really toxic. It's not appropriate behavior. He needs to be checked too, and they don't do that. He's manipulative.
Beat. He needs to be beat.
I mean, for sure, but if we're being honest, they all do. But he goes above and beyond to be antagonistic, and it's like Kevin has issues regulating his emotions. A lot of that is because he is a child. He's only 8 years old. I know that his parents, they're clearly not like checking kids in this house. But Buzz is old enough to know better and to not be so antagonistic to a kid, and they never say anything to him, and it pisses me off.
Right.
It is one of my biggest gripes with them as parents, you know, after the fact that they left their kid home alone twice. But okay. So, he goes to talk to his brother Buzz, and he's asking Buzz if he can sleep in his room with him because he wants to avoid this soggy fate that surely awaits him when he goes to sleep tonight on a pullout with Fuller, who's guzzling Pepsis.
And smiling about it.
He knows that he's a pissy mess. He cannot wait to piss on another child. It's actually kind of insane.
A lot of sports.
Exactly. This fucking kid. This is strange behavior, but nobody checks him either. You need to put a diaper on that little boy. But no, this weird ass family is just allowing him to drink Pepsi after fucking Pepsi. But okay, so he goes and he asks Bud. He asks him really nicely too. He asks him like a little brother. Can I come sleep in here with you? I don't want to get pissed on. So now, none of Kevin's siblings are particularly nice to him, as we've seen. But Buzz, I think he actively hates Kevin.
I would hate Kevin too, probably. They got the same parents, and he got that face. And then Macaulay Culkin had his face.
I know. No offense. Well, you know what? That actor was arrested recently for domestic violence and rape accusations. So... he's ugly. I said it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you sure? That's crazy.
Yes. He pled guilty to 2 charges related to his 2021 arrest for punching and strangling his then girlfriend.
That's wild.
I know. So yeah. I said what I said. So Buzz doesn't mince words with Kevin here. So he says that he wouldn't let Kevin sleep in his room if Kevin was growing on his ass.
A simple no will suffice.
It's like one of those things where people are like, well, the worst they could do is say no. No, I think this is worse. Why would you say that to me? I'm a child.
See, when Kevin gets older, he got what Buzz ass.
Yeah, Kevin gets older, and this is what pushes him to make saw traps.
Right.
So they don't really have time to, like, marinate on that too much because just then they hear something outside. So they go to the window, and they spot their immediate next-door neighbor. I want to point that out because I feel like that's important. It's the literal next door. They can see him from Buzz's room. It's old man Marley, who is literally, I cannot stress this enough, just living his life.
Minding his goddamn business.
Yeah, so he's using a shovel to salt the walkway to his house because it's snowing out. So there's snow covering the ground. So that's when Buzz starts telling what we as the audience, as adults watching this, can guess is 100% a fictional story about the, quote, South Bend shovel slayer, which already sounds fake. This person is supposed to be Old Man Marley, and he supposedly used a snow shovel to murder his family and half the block back in 1958. So now Rod, who's in the room as well, their cousin, he, in my opinion, is too old to believe this bullshit, so shame on him. But he's buying into it, and he asks Bud, well, if he is the slayer, why don't the cops just arrest him? Bud tells them that there wasn't enough evidence to convict, so now Old Man Marley is just hiding out in this random Chicago suburban neighborhood, and everybody knows it, apparently. So now Kevin is hearing this, And he's 100% sold. He was like, this story must be true. Buzz wouldn't lie to me. That's when Old Man Marley looks up and spots them in the window, staring at him, and they're all spooked. Then we cut to a pizza delivery driver who's pulling up to the house crazy. He ends up hitting one of the family's statues in front of their home, sending it flying. He ends up putting it back before he heads into the house, and he's let in by that police officer who is still after all this time having zero luck getting literally anyone in this house to acknowledge him.
Which is weird to me.
No, it's super strange. But in this moment, the pizza man is in. But that's when loud Uncle Frank comes downstairs yelling to everybody that the pizza has arrived. He takes the pizza. He's walking off with them. The pizza delivery boy's like, that'll be $122.50
plus tip.
It's $122.50 plus tip. He's not mincing words here. I'm getting a tip. That's when Frank's like, I don't fucking live here. My brother will pay it. I don't pay for shit. Again, not acknowledging this cop standing here. So finally, Peter comes downstairs, the McAllister that owns the place. He finally acknowledges the cop. The cop tells him that he isn't in any trouble. He's just checking in because it's the holidays and there are a lot of robberies during this time of the year. So they want to make sure that everyone is taking proper precautions. So that's when Peter McAllister runs down what they're doing. So they have automatic lights. They have locks on their doors. And he's like, that's about all we can do, right? And he just kind of fucks off to go eat pizza. Like, that's just the end of the conversation. He's like, I have nothing else to say. Does not give the pizza delivery kid the $122.50 plus tip that he's waiting for. He just fucks off. So now everyone is sitting down in the kitchen eating this unpaid for pizza. Aunt Leslie suggests that Frank pays it. After all, your entire holiday is being sponsored by your family, right? But he's like, fuck that. He's like, oh, well, all I have are traveler's checks. And I thought it was very funny because if you listen closely, you can actually hear Pete say to Frank, you probably got the kind of traveler's checks that don't work in France. Because everybody knows that Frank is a cheap piece of shit.
Traveler's check is such a relic.
Absolutely. But thankfully, Kate has cash.
Lots of it.
Oh, of course.
I was going to say, we know she have a lot of cash just thinking about what she does in the airport.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, but I mean, it makes sense that she has a lot of cash because she's traveling internationally.
They rich, though.
They are rich. We just have to assume that they're rich. So I think that they expound upon this a little bit more in the novelization because they typically do add more context in novelizations. But apparently, Kate is a fashion designer, which we can guess because of all the mannequins that they have in the basement, which we're going to see later. And then Peter, they don't really go into a ton of detail, but his job is just described as, quote, successful businessman. So whatever that means.
He's such a businessman. His brother is a successful businessman. And Frank is the oldest, and he's mooching off him probably because he had to help raise him.
We don't know that Frank does not have money because Frank has a lot of kids. He's helping to raise 2 of his brother's kids. Additionally, they have the space in their home for 2 additional kids for Rod and Heather to live with.
They live in Ohio.
I don't think that it's that Frank is like poor. I think that Frank is just cheap. In the same way that Scrooge is not poor, he's very wealthy, he's just cheap.
Nah. I don't think Frank McAllister have Scrooge McDuck money.
I'm not saying that Frank has Scrooge McDuck money. I'm just saying that I don't necessarily think that Frank is poor. One, because I don't think that his brother would be making fun of him for being cheap if his family really didn't have any money. That would just be cruel. And then 2, Frank and Leslie do have a lot of kids, But if you look at all the kids in the house, you can't really tell the difference between his kids and Kate and Peter's kids. All of the kids are well dressed, they're well kept, nobody is ratty. It looks like they all come from money. I think that he might just be stingy with his own money.
Got it.
I think his parallel is like a Scrooge. That's why his wife was like, Frank, just pay for the pizza. Which means they have it like that they could just drop $122.50 plus tip on pizza. You know what I mean?
Because if I show up to your house and the pizza $122, I'm not eating none. Because I ain't got nothing on that.
Because I'm not putting money down on this. In 1990, $122. Even Kate was like, $122.50. And Pete was like, yeah, $12 a pizza, 10 pizzas. And I was like, Kate, I hear you, because that's expensive today.
Why y'all order 10 pizzas?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. And I don't mean to get off topic, but I feel like it needs to be discussed. There's 15 people in the house.
A pizza have 8 slices.
Yes. So you have 80 slices of pizza. What if, I don't know, Buzz looks like he eats a lot, but like, say everybody eats 3 pieces of pizza on average. That's still only half of the slices of pizza. And then y'all are leaving tomorrow morning. Exactly. I was like, damn. But I guess when you have money, you're just like, fuck it. Get the pizzas.
Girl, who we care? We order pizza, begins, we get wings,
obviously, that's different.
Dessert.
That's different. They have 6-year-olds in that house. That 6-year-old is eating 1 slice of pizza and calling it a fucking day. And they're drinking milk with the pizza.
Right.
They're lucky Fuller didn't shit himself. It's talking about peeing in the bed. They're eating fucking cheese pizzas and milk. It's an insane turn of events. But
I did get on a plane to go to France.
In the morning, 8 a.m., they're cutting up.
Yo, wildin'.
She said, drink that milk. I'm trying to get rid of it and eat all this cheese, go straight to bed, and then jump up in the morning and get on a plane. This bombastic behavior. It's crazy.
Just throw the milk out.
Just throw it out, Kate. I promise you. I swear it's going to be okay. So no, they're guzzling this milk, eating 15 people sharing 80 slices of pizza.
4 slices is 60 pizzas.
Somebody in there was pounding pizza and milk. Y'all are crazy.
We know
people.
Exactly.
No, we do know exactly. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get there. Okay. So Frank is being cheapskates. He's like, I don't have it. I have traveler's checks. What are you going to do? So then Kate is like, it's okay, Frank. I have cash, because everybody knows Frank is cheap. But while they're going around about this, Kevin is peeking around at all of the pizzas because he is looking for the only pizza that he eats, because again, he is an 8-year-old little boy. He just wants a cheese pizza, plain cheese pizza, because they're getting fucking Supremes and shit.
Probably 1 slice, because he's a little boy.
Because he's 8. He's not eating that much fucking pizza. So we're watching as Kevin is looking around for sustenance in this house with 80 fucking pieces of pizza in here. Buzz is literally cramming pizza into his mouth. Like, he is demolishing a pizza, like in a crazy fashion. So Buzz is greedily eating this pizza. So Kevin's like, hey, where's the cheese? Buzz informs Kevin that if he wants any cheese pizza, somebody, being Buzz, is gonna have to barf it up because it's all gone.
And the pizza ain't even paid for yet.
No, okay, let's get into that. The pizza delivery man is still standing there crazy, insane behavior. He is like not even calling out. I would have been all in these families' house, like, hello, $122.50 plus tip, and I'm gonna need a big one because I've been here at this point for 35 minutes. Time just wasted. So, at that exact moment, Kevin hears someone telling Fuller to take it easy on the Pepsi, or he'll wet the bed, and when Kevin looks over, Fuller is guzzling Pepsi. And then he looks up and smiles at Kevin, salivating at the thought on pissing on a family member. So now Kevin's pissed, rightfully so, but the final straw comes when Buzz pretends like he's going to throw up and he tells Kevin to grab a plate, and Kevin loses it at this point, which is like, he didn't handle it well, but you can't expect him to handle it well because he's a child and his parents aren't mediating this situation that they're in, right? And I have a feeling that if he'd gone to Pete in this moment, Pete would have been like, just pick the shit off the other pizzas. You need to validate your kid's feelings right now because Buzz is being a piece of shit, straight up. At this point, Kevin rushes him, pushes Bud into the counter, and he knocks over a ton of this milk, spilling it everywhere. And that's when everyone jumps up, including Father Pete, who ends up knocking over a 2-liter of Pepsi onto the table, and it spills over onto Frank. So remember that. It's chaotic at this point. So Pete is trying to soak up all the milk that's spilled because it's not only all over the counter making a mess, but also for some strange reason, every single person in this house, their passport is sitting on the counter, along with all of their plane tickets, and everything is getting soaked by milk at this point. So as Dad Pete is throwing away all these soaked napkins and things, we as the audience it's a really, really blink and you'll miss it shot. When he throws the napkins in the trash can, we see that heaped in with all of this trash is a plane ticket with Kevin's name on it.
Reckless.
It is reckless. So when Kate comes in yanking Kevin, she's asking him, what the hell is wrong with you? And Kevin is trying to plead his case at this point. He's pointing out that Buzz purposefully ate the only kind of pizza he liked, the one ordered for him, because he's like, I don't like fucking meat lovers. I don't like Supreme. But Uncle Frank is just pissed. And he just ends up yelling at him, look what you did, you little jerk. Which, first of all, don't talk to my kid like that. But additionally, Pete is the one that spilled the Pepsi on Frank. It wasn't Kevin. So get over yourself.
Fuck him.
Yeah. So that's when Kevin stops and he kind of surveys the damage. So there's Pepsi and milk all over the place. The entire family is looking at him like he killed the family cat in front of them. And everyone's just like really loathing Kevin right now. And nobody's giving him the benefit of the doubt in this situation. So Kate is done and she just tells him to go upstairs. He needs to go get ready to go to bed on this pissy pullout with Fuller. So Kevin can't stand the injustice and he wants to know why. And his older brother calls him a disease. And nobody checks him either. Kevin is 8 years old. Yes, Kevin is being a lot, but it really has been being heaped on to Kevin all night. They've called him an idiot, les incompetents. Nobody's helping him pack his bag. He can't watch the movie. He can't eat his pizza. He's hungry. It's just like a lot going on. So to an 8-year-old, it probably feels like everybody is dumping on him, which they kind of are. But, okay, the dad just reiterates that it's time for Kevin to go to bed. So Kate takes him by the arm, pulls him away. On the way to locking this child away in this cold attic where they're going to keep him dinnerless, she passes the cop and the pizza delivery guy who have just been, I don't know, standing here with their thumbs up their butts this whole time while this family like eats their dinner and bickers in the next room. It's very strange. But that's when she remembers that she still needs to pay for the pizza the family has already devoured. So she gives the pizza guy cash and apparently a really nice tip. He's very happy with it. That's when the cop comes up and he is asking if this is some kind of family reunion because there's a lot going on here. That's when Kate gives him just a quick rundown of the situation. So here's the deal. When Pete's brother, Rob McAllister, got a new job, he moved his wife and his kids to Paris. So this was last summer. 2 of the kids, Heather and Rod, ended up staying in Ohio with Frank and Leslie so that they could finish school there. But Rob, who is obviously very wealthy, he decided that he missed his whole family being together. So he decided that he was going to pay for all of them to fly to Paris over the holidays. They're supposed to be leaving tomorrow at 8 a.m. So the cop is like, Paris, that sounds excellent, excellent. And he looks down at Kevin and smiles, showing Kevin one single shiny gold tooth. The cop then assures Kate that her home is in good hands while they're away, and he heads out as Kate continues to drag Kevin up the stairs. She is yelling at him because she's like, there are 15 people in this house, and you are the only one causing trouble, which I think is debatable, but okay.
Because Buzz is right there.
I think Buzz is causing trouble. I think he's instigating, and I think that that is an issue too. I think that you can't allow an older teen to instigate an 8-year-old boy and not like draw a line somewhere, because Kevin's having a difficult time regulating his emotions and nobody's talking to him. They're just like, go get on the pissy mattress. But Kate does not give a shit that Kevin is feeling this way. She tells him to get upstairs, and that's when Kevin... Dante.
I know. You're stressed out when he said this.
I was like, what world are we living in? Because so they go up to the second floor. They're standing in front of the door. She's like, get upstairs. And he looks at his mother and he says, I am upstairs, dummy.
You were scared for him?
Y'all would have had to put me on a T if I said that to my mom.
A t-shirt?
Yes. That is an aggressive thing to say to an adult.
To anybody.
Yes. I think that's crazy. But she doesn't say anything about that. You know, like, I'm not advocating child abuse at all. But she doesn't, like, not beyond, like, not, like, giving him a spanking. She doesn't even correct that language. She just, like, lets that slide. She takes that dummy on the chin. And I was like, that would have never been me. I grew up in a totally different household.
I am upstairs, dummy.
And so she just like opens the door to the attic. And that's when Kevin comes to the realization that not only does he have to sleep with Fuller, he won't even get the luxury of getting pissed on in his own bed. So he doesn't want to do that because Kevin is just a kid, remember, and he's scared of the attic. He finds it a scary place to be. And so when his mom reminds him that Fuller will be up there, he protests because he's like, okay, well, I don't want to sleep with Fuller because he wets the bed. But his mom is not letting him get out of the attic for any reason. So she just says that they'll move Fuller somewhere else, but Kevin is going in this attic. So that's when Kevin tries to be manipulative. He tries to turn on the charm and be sweet and apologize. But his mom is like, no. She's like, I wasn't born yesterday. It's too late for that. Get upstairs.
That's why she didn't care that he called her a dummy. Because she was like, I'm going to get him.
Yeah. So Kevin drops the act. And he starts to go up the stairs when he stops. And he turns and he yells to his mother that everyone in the family hates him. And Kate, who at this point is tired, she's ready for like a rum and Pepsi. She's like, well, you better ask Santa for a new family then. And Kevin is like, you know what, bitch? I don't want any family because y'all suck.
Okay, but please specify that he didn't say that, because knowing Kevin, he could have easily said that.
No, okay. The absolute only reason that Kevin didn't say that is because this movie is PG. Right, and he couldn't say it. So, you know, he doesn't say bitch, but he does say that he doesn't want any family. He doesn't want to replace his, he just doesn't want one because they all suck. And Kate, who is on her last nerve at this point, she is like, shut the hell up, essentially. Not in those words, but close. And she's like, I don't want to see you again for the rest of the night, so get out of my face. And Kevin is like, I'll do you one better, bitch. Now, he doesn't add the bitch, but he does say, I don't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. Which seems like it kind of hurts Kate's feelings a little bit. And she's like, you know, you'd be pretty sad if you woke up tomorrow and you didn't have a family. And Kevin seems like he's kind of considering this, like, yeah, maybe I would be sad, but he's already come this far. He called her a dummy. He can't back down now. And he's like, no, I wouldn't. So Kate is like, then stand on it then. Keep wishing for it and maybe it'll happen.
There's not a responsible adult in this whole movie.
No. This warrants discussion. This warrants empathy. You need to talk to your child. So she's pushed him to this point, right? Now he's 8 years old.
She's like walking like he's talking.
Exactly. So now he's 8, so he can't back down at this point. So he says with his full chest, puts his heart into it, I hope I never see any of you jerks again, and heads upstairs for the rest of the night. And when he gets to the attic, now we have been led to believe, because of Kevin's, the way that he talks about it, this attic is like scary, cold, dark, dank. It's actually amazing.
Girl, an Airbnb would be like, this is an extra room.
Exactly. Dante, I was like, if I was a kid, I would want this to be my bedroom. It's amazing. They are on a pullout, but it's a queen size pullout. There's lighting. It looks cozy. There's toys all over the damn place. It's a really great room. That doesn't really do anything to assuage Kevin's rage, though. And so while he's up there, he wishes again to himself quietly. He's stewing at this point. He's like, I wish all these bitches would just disappear. And so then nighttime comes. We cut to sometime later, and the family is dead asleep. Now, the weather outside is very wintry.
It's frightful.
It sure is. The winds are blowing so fiercely that a tree branch ends up falling on a power line, cutting power to the whole neighborhood and leaving the McAllisters' home in darkness, while additionally turning off their alarm clocks. When we cut to the next morning, the airport shuttles have arrived to the McAllister home, and when they pull up, they knock over that fucking statue. But they go to the door, they're knocking, they're not getting any answer because the entire house has overslept. Not a single person in this entire house has any kind of like internal alarm clock. When Kate finally jumps up, she yells, the house falls into chaos. Everyone is rushing, scrambling to get ready. Outside, the airport shuttle loaders, so they're putting all the family's luggage into the van. Then out of nowhere, this fucking kid, Mitch Murphy, comes up.
Mitch is a neighborhood kid. I have to assume he's also somewhere around 8 or 9 years old.
He comes over and he is badgering these airport workers. I mean, this kid is annoying. He is asking them everything from like, what is the weather like in France, to what kind of gas mileage they get on their vans. And they're like, please leave me alone. So now the family is starting to pour out of the house when Kate asks the oldest kid, Rob's daughter, Heather, who I think is like 18 years old, to do a head count of all the kids. She tells them to all line up, which they do. And as she counts each one, she touches their heads to be extra sure they're there. She counts all 11 kids, so 10 and then her. Except what she doesn't realize is that one head that she counts just so happens to be the uber annoying Mitch Murphy, who happens to look exactly like Kevin from the back. That's when she tells the kids to split up between the two vans. So because they're split up, nobody has really any idea which kid is going where. And they all end up piling into the vans while Mitch Murphy heads back to his house to go menace another day. So when the adults come out, they're rushing because the plane literally departs in 45 minutes. They are at home. Pete McAllister's not worried about it at all. He's like, we'll be fine. So the adults end up splitting up into the two vans as well. And Kate trusts Heather when she reports that all 11 children are there and accounted for. Before they pull off, because they are in a rush, the city repairman is trying to tell them that their power is back on, but their phone lines are going to be out for at least a couple of days. And Kate's just like, can't you see we're in a rush? Get the fuck out of my face. But it is adding some good context for the audience.
Right.
So then they leave. They make it to the airport. They're literally sprinting to their gates. And they make it just in time. Like, the door is already closed. But the airline worker opens the door for them to get in. They hand her the ticket. She does this cursory ass count. And she tells them that there are only single seats left in coach. So all the kids are going to need to split up and take whatever is free. While the parents, including Frank and Leslie, will be in first class. That is important for a couple of reasons. So she does a cursory count, and I know that you're probably thinking this bitch didn't do her job, but no, this bitch did her job, because if you remember, they will only have the tickets for 14 people because they threw Kevin's ticket away last night. He wouldn't have had a ticket anyway when he got to the gate, so they would have been fucked. But then beyond that, it is adding more reason why it takes so long to notice that Kevin is not with this group, because everybody has to split up right now. So nobody knows who is where. It's all very, very chaotic. So the family runs onto the plane. Everybody sits down, sighing in relief because it was like very much a near miss. Frank, before he's even in his seat, makes sure that he orders his free champagne. And Kate is just laughingly saying, I hope we didn't forget anything, as the plane is taking off. So now, when we cut back to the McAllister house, we see a groggy Kevin just waking up, coming down from the attic to a completely empty house. Back on the plane, the parents are having a discussion, and Kate is asking Pete if he feels like a heel for flying in first class, leaving the kids in coach. And he's like, fuck no. He's like, we're going to Paris. They're fine. He's like, when I was a kid, the only flying we did was in my parents' station wagon. We definitely weren't traveling internationally. So no, they're good. And they laugh, and they're really carefree and happy and having these discussions. But then we go back to the house. And now at this point, Kevin is going room to room, seeing that not a single person is in the whole house. He even checks the basement, which ends up terrifying him because Kevin is really scared of the basement because he's very scared of the furnace, which in his mind is very menacing.
Because he's 8 years old.
Because he's a child, a literal child. So that's when Kevin runs back upstairs, and he heads outside, and he looks, and he sees that the garage door is open, and he notes that both the family cars are there. So he deduces that they obviously couldn't have gone to the airport because they didn't drive there. That's when he comes to the determination that he really did succeed in making his family disappear, because this makes sense to him as an 8-year-old. So he sits, and he's melancholy for, I would say, 30 seconds. But then he starts thinking about his family and all the negative things that they said and did to him the night before. It's just playing through his head, from the idiot to the disease to the les incompetents, all of it. So now he decides that them disappearing is the absolute best thing that could have possibly happened to him. This is going to be a good Christmas. So then we get a montage of Kevin just cutting loose. So he's jumping on the bed, his parents' bed, eating popcorn. He's running around and screaming, literally just screaming in the house. And he does what I think a lot of children would do. He goes through his brother's private stuff, his personal stuff. So as he's going through this box of stuff, he even finds a framed picture of Buzz's girlfriend, and he's like, woof.
Buzz, your girlfriend, woof.
And now I do have to say that the girl in the picture that is supposed to be Buzz's girlfriend, she is not actually a girl. It's actually the art director's son that they dressed up as a girl, because they thought that using a photo of a actual girl would have been too mean.
And now you're making fun of a transgender.
That is exactly what is happening, yes. So that's when Kevin spots what he really wants to play with, Buzz's BB gun hanging on the wall. So he takes it out, he's shooting with it a bit, and then he decides to head into the living room to eat junk, aka this huge messy sundae that he makes, and watch Rubbish, aka this black and white gangster film that's titled Angels with Filthy Souls.
Which sounds like a porno.
It does. But in the movie, this is going to be important. So there's a main gangster. It's a guy named Johnny. He tells another guy named Snakes that he's going to give him until the count of 10 to get his no good keister out of his office before he pumps him full of lead.
His ugly yellow.
No good keister.
1, 2, 10.
So Snakes was trying to back up, but Johnny obviously doesn't give him the opportunity. He opens fire with the Tommy gun, lighting him up and laughing the whole time. And then at the end, John delivers iconic line, "Keep the change, you filthy animal." And now at this point, Kevin...
Mom!
Yes! So he finally realizes why he's not allowed to watch all of these types of movies, because he's scared and now he's alone. And his mom's not there.
But is she? Because she heard him.
Well, yes. So in the movie, he screams mom. He needs her. So that's when the movie cuts back to Kate and the rest of Kevin's family. They are halfway to Paris at this point, but Kate's, I guess, motherly instincts kick in, and she sits bolt upright in her seat, and she's overcome by this terrible feeling. She just keeps feeling like they've forgotten something. Something is gnawing at her. So the husband doesn't feel a thing. I would just like to point that out. So Kate starts running down a list of things that they could have forgotten, like unplugging the coffee maker, locking the doors, things like that, before landing on closing the garage, which Pete admits he didn't do. He forgot to do that. And he's like, but that's what we forgot. It's fine. No big deal. Shouldn't worry about it. So Kate sits and she tries to relax, but she quickly realizes that the garage doors are not what's making her feel this way. So she's racking her brain, and that's when she remembers Kevin is the thing that they forgot. Once it dawns on her, she sits bolt upright again and screams Kevin's name loud enough for the whole plane to hear. And now she is spiraling in despair. And her family is trying to console her. So her husband's there, Aunt Leslie's there, but they're not doing a really good job because Frank is also there. And he says to this mother who's left her child home alone, an 8-year-old, "If it makes you feel any better, I forgot my reading glasses." And they look at him like they hope he explodes on the spot. Because what the fuck are you talking about right now?
Because all you had to do was say, "That's awful. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him."
Yeah. Nah. He's like, well, I left my reading glasses, so...
Bitch, you don't read.
That's what I was... Okay. That's why you forgot them. You're not reading. Shut the hell up. You don't even read a check when it comes to the table.
I hate him.
Frank is maybe one of my... I don't even want to say one. I think Frank might be the least likable character in this movie. Buzz, they're neck and neck. I don't like either of them. I think they're like secondary antagonists.
Yes.
I like them less than the guys that come to kill Kevin. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Than the home invaders.
Why are you cracking jokes right now? We're on a plane to France. Stressed.
And the flight from Chicago to Paris is like a full 8 hours. And, you know, on the plane in 1990, there's nothing that you could do. They couldn't make any calls. They literally just have to fly all the way to Europe before they can start doing anything.
And CPS will be waiting for him at the gates.
Wait, so that's the thing. Okay, well, let's keep going a little bit, and we'll get to that. So she's discovering all of this right now on this airplane. Frank is completely unsympathetic. But meanwhile, so we're checking back in at the McAllister house. So Kevin is living his absolute best life. This is 8-year-old dream time right now. He's doing what an 8-year-old boy would do. He is using a sled to sled down the family staircase and outside the house. He's doing a lot. But later that night, we get a glimpse of two guys in a van. They're just kind of stalking around the neighborhood. One of them is that cop from earlier that we saw in the McAllister house. But it turns out that he is not really a cop. So his name is Harry, and he and his partner, who is named Marv, so they were just using that ruse to case houses, essentially. So they were just trying to see who would be home, who would be away from the holidays, so they could rob these people blind. Harry, for some reason, has become obsessed with the McAllister house. What does he call it? The Silver Tuna?
Yes.
This Silver Tuna house, I guess he's really obsessed with it because he's like, oh, this family looks loaded. They just look like they have a lot of money. And this is like the house that he wants to hit. He's going to bring this up later. This house is the entire reason that he chose to work this neighborhood. So this is like serious to him. So they pull their car into the driveway of the McAllister house. They grab their crowbars and they head up to the door. But Kevin just so happens to be sleeping in the living room, and he can hear them coming down the side of his house, and he can see their shadows. So just as Marv starts trying to pry open the back door, Kevin switches on all the lights, and Harry and Marv get scared, and they hastily leave. So it was a very close call for Kevin.
Very smart.
Very smart for an 8-year-old.
Right.
But okay, so Kevin gets rid of them by turning on the lights. He's like, whew, that was a close call. But now we're checking back in with his family. So they have finally made it to Paris, and immediately they head to payphones to start calling anybody that they could think of. Kate gives Leslie her planner, and she tells her to just call everybody on their block whose phone number they has while she calls the police. She tells Pete to book them the next flight back home. So Leslie apparently goes and calls. I feel like if she called anyone, she called maybe 2 people before giving up, because she's just like, well, nothing but answering machines. So now Kate just calls the cops. That's her plan. The cops in this movie are actually like some negative helpful. Like they actually, I feel like, go above and beyond to provide the least amount of help possible.
They're like, what the fuck you want us to do? You left your kid at home.
That is 100% how they feel. And this is the thing, she also, what kind of irritated me about Kate in this situation is she's not giving a lot of information, right? She's just like, I left my kid home alone. Can somebody go check on him? Which they find absurd. And I was like, that's a really reasonable thing for her to ask. It's a wellness check. Like, fucking just do it. But she's not providing the information that, like, okay, he's only 8 years old. The entire family left. The literal closest relative to him is 4,000 miles away. We don't have any food there. It's going to be days before anybody can get there to check on him. It's actually kind of a dire situation. You know what I mean? Like, she's not giving enough context. They are also not asking enough questions. The cops pissed me off.
She's not going in there and saying, hey, if you knock on the door, he's not going to answer because he's been told not to answer the door.
Because he's only 8 years old.
So you need to go and stay out there?
Additionally, you need to announce yourself as police. And, like, am I taking fucking crazy pills?
Yeah.
So she's on the phone with them. She gets transferred a couple of times. They're like, oh, this lady's hyper. Just overall do not care. But finally, like, very begrudgingly, they say they're going to send a police officer over. But the cop, he knocks on the door 2 times.
Never announces himself, just knocks.
He gives like a very cursory look through like one single window on this house, which every single light is on in the whole house because Kevin's like flipped them all on. But he decides that nobody's home and that this lady is just crazy. And then he's like, tell her to count her kids again, and then just fucks off.
Defund.
Dante. I agree, because what the hell are we talking about right now? So the cop just like fucks off, And the reason that Kevin really doesn't answer the door is like he's already had this encounter with the burglars. He flipped on all the lights, they left, but he was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to confront them. So he goes outside and he's like, I'm not afraid anymore. And so he's doing all this, but then he looks over and he sees old man Marley, and that's too much for him. Now, again, I would like to reiterate to everyone listening, this man could not be minding his business anymore. He is still trying to salt his walkway, live his life in peace. But Kevin just briefly spotted him and then runs off screaming and just dives under the covers in his parents' room. So this is the context of what's happening when this police officer comes, because obviously he's 8. Everything's really scary right now. And the police are just like, tell the counter kids again.
I couldn't believe he said that.
Insanity. So now, back at the airport, Pete and Kate are obviously not having any luck booking a new flight. The attendant at the airport tells Pete and Kate that the first available flight is 2 days away. They're very specific about that. I believe it's like Wednesday morning right now when they're talking to her. The next flight is Friday morning, and Kate's like, that's 2 days away. We cannot wait that long. So she is not having that. She even asked the airline if they have any private planes, and I was like, y'all got money. I was like, I get it. You are desperate. It's your kid and they're home alone. But I've been really desperate. But even in my most desperate times,
I've been realistic.
Yes, there's certain things your poverty-stricken mind won't even, like, touch. If I was in this situation, my poor ass mind would be like, girl, don't ask those people that. Because even if they are like, yes, we actually have a fleet of private planes.
Wasting 8 time. That's nice. That's lovely. That's actually lovely.
And I'd be like, oh, I was just wondering. That's really great for y'all. Can you let me know when the next commercial flight will be? Like, my poor ass wouldn't even consider asking.
I always thought to myself, watching it, can't we just get Kevin on a plane to France? We already here.
Right. I know, right? You could just have the airport shuttle go pick him up. It was the 90s, y'all. And I know that you're probably like, well, that wouldn't work. They wouldn't do that. I was 5 years old and I flew on a flight to New York from New Orleans by myself. In the 90s, they were just like, oh yeah, the flight attendant was like, yeah, I'll look in on her sometimes. I don't even think I put on like a sign or anything. I was just traveling. But that at the time, you could walk up to the gate even if you weren't taking the flight. So it's like my aunt walked me to the gate. They were like, okay, bye. And I was on that bitch alone, going to fucking JFK.
Why did you go to JFK?
Because my mom was in New York and she wanted me to come there. But she was like, I'm not going to go get her. She can just come here. And so they put my 5-year-old ass on a plane. They gave me a teddy bear and they were like, good luck. They could have flown that boy out. But this is the thing, Dante. Okay. This is a point that sticks out to me, and I know that I was reading, John Hughes said that Chris Columbus was like, I think that people are going to have a really, really hard time thinking that a mother would leave her kid home alone. So they worked out through the writing, through the direction, what we see on screen, the subtle little things like how they threw away his plane tickets. They tried to fill every single plot hole that they could think of that would even make this scenario feasible. So that's why they have the kid Mitch Murphy come over and his back is turned, and from the back he kind of looks like Kevin. So when she's doing the counting, that's why they had like Heather do the counting, because she's not a parent, so she wouldn't notice like, oh, Kevin doesn't have a jacket like that. She's just like, I don't know, it's a fucking 8-year-old. They all look the same. She's counting him, just little tiny things like that. They worked really hard to make all of this feasible. But I feel like there's some huge, I don't want to say like plot holes, but before they left, they're like, the phones are out. But we know that they're calling people and getting through because Leslie, I know that we think that she might be lying, but she's not saying that she can't get through. She says, oh, it's just a whole bunch of answering machines, which means that you're getting through, just nobody's there. And then the whole story takes place in just a couple of days. But There's a point in time where Pete, he's calling a neighbor and we can hear him leaving a message. Why didn't they call Kevin? Would you not have been calling him over and over and over again?
Like, the phones clearly start working again.
And we know that Kevin is using the phone because he calls and orders pizza. In my opinion, that's like a huge plot defect.
They just never really try to reach Kevin, not even to leave a voicemail.
Like, Kevin, we know you're at the house. We're going to call the police. They're going to tell you that the police open the door. They're going to come take you away forever because we are fucked up.
Exactly.
But at no point in time do they ever call Kevin to explain what's happening. Because if they'd called him and they'd been like, just to ease his mind, we didn't disappear. We're alive. We just left. We're coming back. Just don't open the door for anybody. Stay home. And if he could have been like, Mom, Dad, there's people trying to break in, they could have called the cops and told them that. You know what I mean? It's just they never talked to the kid. And I think that's so insane.
You should have definitely called. I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah, if just realistically, if it was me, even if the phones were down, which the movie establishes that they're not, but even if the phones were still down, keep calling him.
Like, yeah, the mom ends up traveling around all over the place, but the dad is at Rob's in Paris eating shrimp and shit. He should be calling too. But okay, let's keep going.
So, when she asked them if they have a private plane, and they're like, we don't do that, Pete is like, okay, let's just head to Rob's because you haven't gotten any rest. We'll just stay there until we hear back from the police because maybe this can all be worked out. Maybe the police will go there. Maybe they'll get him. We don't know what's happening. But Kate's not having it. She's like, I need to get home. So she is going to wait at the airport in the hopes that anything opens up. So they all say their goodbyes. They all part ways.
Bells will be ringing.
Yeah, no, they really tug at the heartstrings.
I know.
It's sad. But okay. So now back at the house, Kevin at this point, he's feeling pretty good. It's the morning time, so it's less scary when the sun is out. He is freshening himself up, taking a good long bath, and he ends up putting on some aftershave on his face for whatever reason, which apparently burns really bad. And we get this, I would say that if there's any one image that is like quintessential Home Alone, like the thing that people remember about this movie, it's that with the hands on both sides of his face and him screaming. People remember and parody that all the time.
Yeah.
So after Kevin is refreshed, he decides that he has to go to the store to get some things, specifically a toothbrush, because he can't find his toothbrush. So he needs money. So he heads into Buzz's room to find some money that he knows that he has hidden away. And he's 8, so he's using 8-year-old logic. So he starts climbing these shelves that are installed on Buzz's wall. And they are pretty flimsy because this kid has to weigh like fucking 60 pounds. But they end up collapsing under Kevin's weight and just wrecking the shelves, wrecking Buzz's room. And this is important, shattering the glass tank that Buzz's pet tarantula is in, freeing it. So now the tarantula is free in the house. And Kevin doesn't give a fuck. As soon as he hits the floor, he's like, shakes that off. He finds the money and he bounces. He doesn't try to like pick up any of the mess. He does not try to find the tarantula. He's done. He's out of the house. While he's walking to the store, he ends up passing the Murphy's house. So this is, remember his neighbor from earlier, the annoying kid, Mitch Murphy. And he notes that there is a van in the driveway, which he finds odd because he's like, oh, they're supposed to be out of town. They're going to Florida. But Kevin just shrugs it off because he's 8. He doesn't think that much into it. But this is actually Harry and Marv's van. They are inside the Murphy house. They're robbing them, but also ransacking these people's house for absolutely zero reason. Marv is being a real asshole in this house right now.
Because he's like, we're the wet bandits. We're going to turn the water on. which ruins the floors.
Okay, so that's my thing. He's smashing stuff. He's being really obnoxious. But this is that part that I was talking about earlier. So while they're inside, Pete McAllister calls the house because, again, he's trying to get somebody that can go check on Kevin. He leaves a message, and Marv just so happens to hear the message that's coming across, and it confirms to them that the McAllisters are definitely in Paris. So the house should be empty. This is exactly what Harry wants to hear, because remember, he's like very, very oddly obsessed with this McAllister house. So then the two decide that they're going to go back later that night instead of just letting this go. So as they're leaving the Murphys, after ransacking it, this is Marv apparently in every house that they rob, he clogs up the drains and then turns on the water full blast and just like leaves it running. And remember, these people are in Florida. So this water is going to be running for maybe a week. It's like the shittiest thing that they could do to just like flood these people's home. And do you know how insane that water bill is going to be?
I will go to that jail and I will whip his ass.
And I'll be at every parole hearing. It's just like such a piece of shit thing to do. And Harry agrees. So he thinks that it's like a really sick thing to do, but Marv loves it. So he thinks of it as their calling card. He's like, we're the wet bandits. So now at the store, Kevin is trying to buy a toothbrush, and for some fucking reason, he's very adamant that the toothbrush needs to be approved by the American Dental Association. So he asks the clerk, she doesn't know, so he's like, I'm gonna need to speak to your manager. And so the manager comes over, the clerk and the manager are discussing, they're like, I don't fucking know. And so instead of telling this kid to just like go pick out a fucking new one or get the hell out of my face, they're like having this very in-depth discussion about this. And that's when old man Marley walks in.
Mind his business.
Well, no, okay. I'm gonna give this one to Kevin. Because old man Marley comes in, and for some strange reason, Kevin's standing at the register with this toothbrush while they're like having this conversation. Old man Marley comes up to the register. Like, he gets uncomfortably close to Kevin and then slams his bloody ass wrapped up hand onto the counter next to him, and then he just proceeds to stare at Kevin. He doesn't utter a single word. He's just standing there staring at him. So, of course, Kevin is scared because that's very strange behavior. Like, I'm going to have to side with Kevin on this one. That's a super weird thing to do to a kid.
Why didn't he say something?
Why didn't you say, first of all, why did you invade my space? I'm at the counter. You need to wait. And then you didn't say anything, and then you get offended later because you're like, oh, well, I'm really a nice guy. I couldn't fucking tell. But Kevin, because he's 8, it's very scary. I feel like even without all the stories that he's heard about old man Marley, I would even be scared. This is like a weird thing to do. He looks crazy. But Kevin is thinking like, okay, he is doing this very strange behavior, but he's also a murderer. He's also a serial killer. So Kevin is petrified. And so it's enough that he starts backing out of the store with the toothbrush in his hand. And the clerk is like, hey, kids, you got to pay for that. But Kevin, he's too scared. And he ends up running out of the store. And an employee named Jimmy, he tries catching him but can't.
Jimmy, stop that boy.
Oh, wait. So then Jimmy can't catch him. So he yells to a police officer that Kevin is a shoplifter. Kevin is 8. Kevin is 8 in this very cookie cutter suburban neighborhood. It's a toothbrush that I cannot imagine costs more than $1.
Stop that boy.
Let him take the toothbrush. I mean, it's like you yelled at him. He didn't stop. I didn't think that the cop needed to be involved. So Kevin, of course, runs because the cop is chasing him. And Kevin's able to get away, leaving the cop in the fucking dust. But now, Kevin, because he's 8, he feels awful. He feels like a criminal. Poor thing.
He was called a shoplifter.
And he did take the toothbrush. So he's feeling bad. And he's really lamenting this. You know, he's walking down the street with his head hung low.
And during this exact moment, Harry and Marv are driving out of the Murphy's house arguing. Neither party is paying attention, is aware of their surroundings. So Kevin walks right in front of the van, and he is a mere centimeters away from getting smashed.
Roll kill.
Literally. The van is like touching his nose. But they're going their separate ways. Harry is telling Kevin Merry Christmas, and he ends up smiling at Kevin. And that's when Kevin spots the gold tooth in his mouth and immediately recognizes this guy as the cop that was in his house the night before. So he automatically knows he's fake, because he's like, why would this cop be driving this raggedy ass rundown van wearing these raggedy ass rundown clothes? So he's scared. He makes this connection. And he's smart because he doesn't say anything. He has the wherewithal to not be like, oh, you're fake, but it shows on his face. He's also making this connection like, oh, I'm pretty sure these are those two guys that tried to break into my house. He can hear their voices. They have the same general profiles. One is very tall, one is very short. So his facial expression, for some reason, does not sit right with Harry. Harry is like, I took that shit personally.
Looking at me like I'm a fucking criminal.
You're a fucking criminal. Why do you care so much? You also just almost killed me because y'all are arguing while y'all are driving away from the scene of the crime. Harry, choose your fucking battles. And so Kevin, he doesn't even say anything to them. He just looks like, because he realizes, and then he starts walking away. So they decide to double down on it. They're like, let's follow him home. What a crazy thing to do. They're in a fucking van closely following this kid down the street. So he does the only logical thing, and he starts to run. And they start to chase him down. And I'm like, what was supposed to be the outcome of this? What were y'all going to do? Were you going to kidnap him?
Harry wanted him to know that I may be a criminal, but I'm a human being. And if I smile at you, you smile back.
Exactly. So they're following him, and Kevin's very aware. So he starts to run. So they start to chase him down. They like pedal to the metal, hit the gas. They're like, we're going to chase this child down. And so Kevin does a smart thing, and he ends up hiding in a nativity scene at a church. And Harry and Marv have no choice but to fuck off, because they're like, I'm not going to the church to find him. Once they're gone, Kevin vows that once they come back, he'll be prepared for them, because he knows that they're going to come back. So later that night, when Harry and Marv do eventually arrive back at the McAllister house, because they are not letting it go, the house is totally lit up, and there's a party in full swing. I mean, music blasting, there's people seemingly dancing around, laughing, conversation, having a good time. They are like, we need to get the fuck out of here.
Immediately,
because it's popping. It's a whole party. But in reality, Kevin is exceptionally bright. He has set up this very elaborate, it's like a pulley system with these mannequins and this like cardboard cutout of Michael Jordan. He has like conversation boxes on. He has a record player going. I mean, he is working overtime here. And it really does look like a real party. He's doing a really good job. And Harry and Marv leave. It works. But like fucking psychos, they vow to come back the next night. So now let's check in with the family in Paris. Pete is stressed because he is trying to call around and find someone that can check on his son. Frank is the complete opposite. I don't even think the word stress is in Frank's vocabulary right now. He's so fucking calm that he's handing out fucking shrimp cocktail.
And they're yelling at his stupid ass. That's for tomorrow.
We're saving that. So he's passing out shrimp and shit, not caring. The kids are taking the shrimp, so they don't care that much. You know, Kate would have been too sick to eat. No, these kids are like, I will definitely take a shrimp.
But not Kevin's siblings, really.
Buzz was fucking those shrimp up.
We don't even... Let's get there.
Okay, so Kevin's siblings are lamenting. So they're not able to enjoy the holiday without their little brother. and their mom, who is stuck at the airport. They're just kind of in this bitch. Everybody's in a state of worry. Nobody's relaxing. Additionally, their dad is not involved. He's on the phone. They're trying to get in touch with police. And so they're sitting there like, God, I can't believe this happened. I'm so worried. Buzz is licking his chops, eating this fucking really, really attractive shrimp cocktail they got going on.
It's francais.
It is. I mean, like, in so many words, he's like, I do not care. He fully believes that Kevin deserved this. He deserved what's happening to him. And he says, quote, the little trout could use a couple of days in the real world. What the fuck are you talking about right now? He's 8.
I hate people like Buzz. I just don't like that. I don't like him. I don't like what he stands for. I don't like people who stand with him.
Realistically, Buzz, you are the way that you are because
You're privileged.
exactly. You are just as big of an asshole, if not a bigger asshole than Kevin. Kevin, at the very least, has the excuse that he's still a child. But yeah, so Buzz believes that nothing remotely dangerous will ever happen in their neighborhood because they live in just like this really boring part of town. So he just feels like there's no need to worry.
And also he says because he's not that lucky. Like what?
Yes, you're right. He does say that.
I don't understand why he hates Kevin so much.
He's your little brother and they can be annoying, but it's like, damn. But yeah, he hates Kevin, so he doesn't give a fuck. So now back at the airport, Kate has been asking around for people to switch flights with her because she's desperate. I don't know exactly where she is at this point.
I don't think she's left the airport.
So Kate has not made it to America at this point.
Right. The old lady gives her a ticket. That's how she gets back to America.
Right, because if not, then she would be in France and the first available flight wouldn't be until Friday, which would be 2 days from that day when they arrived.
When they got there. But also it's like a whole C plot that she has to be in America to do.
Yes. So this first leg of Kate's journey, just getting on the fucking plane to get to America, is really like the easiest part of her journey. It's like getting somebody to get her on this fucking flight. But okay, so she's at the airport. She's begging. There is a flight that is boarding that night. So I say at this point, she's been at the airport just like all day. She's just been there for a day, right?
Yes.
They got there in the morning. She's just been kind of fucking in there begging. So there's a flight boarding literally like right now. She's begging this woman. So she's offering this old woman $500, a pocket translator, 2 first class tickets, which is an upgrade from this woman's coach seats. So these are the first class tickets that her and Pete would have been using to get back home. Then the woman has what I feel is audacity, gall, nerve. She asks Kate if Kate's Rolex is real, which it isn't, but Kate's like, girl, if you thought it was, then other people will think it is too. Take it. And then she is going to take also some rings and her earrings. And I was like, this is
Harry and Maul's mom. she shaked it.
It's a shakedown.
You getting first class tickets, but hold on, audience. In this lady's defense, her stuff is already on the plane. Because she's walking on the plane at this point.
No, I mean, that is true.
So I would shake her down too.
When I was watching it, I was like, damn, this old lady is ruthless. Talk about cutthroat. She was like, is that a Rolex, bitch? Run that shit. She was like, I want it all. Strip right now. At first, I was like, okay, this is a lot. But then this is what you have to remember. This is what you have to remember. When we say old lady, we really do mean old. This is an old woman who is traveling with her old husband. They are elderly people. The husband has white hair, everything. And you have to think, Kate is desperate to get on this flight tonight, but it's like Kate has 2 first class tickets for Friday, but that's still 2 whole days away. So they still need to find accommodations for 2 whole days because these old people are not going to sleep in this airport.
But not just that. Not just they won't sleep in the airport, Ruth. They would miss Christmas wherever the hell they're going.
Yes, straight up. And that's really what the husband is
It's
about.
insane.
It is a lot of money, the $500 fake Rolex, the rings, the pocket translator, like all of that is a lot, but he's like, that's not really that important to me. He's like, she has plenty of earrings, we don't need it.
Cause I take care of my woman. Hold on.
No, straight.
He was like, she got a whole basket full of earrings, dangly ones. She got them all. She got everything.
Additionally, when you break it down, it's really not that much money to find 2 more days of accommodations, to find
In
2 more days of meals in France over Christmas, last minute. It's all of that, meals, accommodation, travel to and from the airport because they're old, they're not sleeping here. So you have to think about all that. All that shit is very expensive. But then there's like the cost beyond money. They are going to miss their plans with their family, probably their children, grandchildren, all that. They're not going to be there. So Kate is asking a lot, and while it does feel like this lady is shaking her down, they are going to be like mad inconvenienced if they give Kate the tickets to this flight. It is a big inconvenience, and they'd be losing money realistically. But the husband, he's ready to shut all of this shit down, but that's when Kate
pulls out the big guns, and by the big guns, I mean the tears.
A woman's tears. Not just a woman's tears. I'm sorry. Scratch that. A mother's tears. And she's like, please, as a mother to a mother. And she is laying on
Shaky
so
voice.
fucking. Yes. She's like, I need to get on that plane. And the guy is like, son of a bitch. Because even his wife is like, oh. And he's like, oh, fine. And he lets Kate get on the plane. So now back at the house, Kevin has used the very working telephone to order a pizza from Little Nero's. It's the same delivery guy who came to their house a couple of nights before. He arrives, knocks over the statue in front of their house yet again, has to get out and pick it up. And this is where we see Kevin flex this skill that he has. It's an extremely good, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a pause and rewind skill. He knows how to work a VHS tape like nobody's business. So Kevin has the movie Angels with Filthy Souls. So he has a VHS in, and he doesn't want to interact with the delivery guy because he's 8, right? He doesn't want anyone to know that he is home alone. So the VHS does the talking for him. So he is able to carry on a pretty convincing conversation by rewinding it and fast forwarding it to the relevant parts in the film. He gets through the conversation. Kevin then pays the driver. He leaves a 20-cent tip, and he decides to have a little fun with the driver. This is just a little lanyard. he already has the pizza at this point. So he starts playing the part of the movie where Johnny's telling the guy to get his no good keister off his property before he pumps him full of lead. When the shooting starts, the delivery driver is so convinced that it's real that he sprints and stumbles his way to his car and speeds away, leaving Kevin with this like full cheese pizza all to himself. Dante, it's a tiny kitchen box TV. I don't believe you. I don't believe that this sounds like real bullets.
I'm thinking to myself, what is the sound quality of a movie from the 1930s? Because no more does this happen with the Pizza Man. It also happens with the people in the second movie.
It does, Dante. It's not just the sound quality of a movie that's like from the 30s. It's the sound quality of a movie from the 30s playing on a 1990 tiny box TV. But he believes it. He runs away. He's gone. So when he goes to bed that night, at this point, he's missing his family pretty badly. And he even apologizes to their pictures, hoping that his family will come back. He kisses the picture before going to bed. The next morning, Kevin is going about his big boy shower routine. He's applying the aftershave. He's doing the scream. And then he heads to the grocery store because he is out of essentials.
when he goes to check out a clerk who, in my opinion, cares entirely too fucking much. She is eyeing him suspiciously because he's alone and he's 8, and she starts asking about his parents, which, girl, leave me alone. But Kevin is able to convincingly lie to her, and he heads out. But since this bitch is more concerned about Kevin's parents and not her actual duties, she ends up overpacking his bags, and as he's walking home, they burst and all of his stuff falls out onto the street.
Which really annoys Kevin, as it should.
Back at home, Kevin, they're showing that he's maturing. So he's doing his own laundry because it needs to get done. He's doing the laundry in the basement too, and when the furnace comes on, it shows that he is not scared anymore. He just tells it to shut up, and he heads about his business because these chores are not going to do themselves. Outside, though, Harry and Marv are once again watching the house.
Just goddamn.
It's really very bizarre at this point because Harry is confused because he's like, well, during the day, it seems like the house is empty, but at night, it's jumping.
They at work.
That's Dante. I was like, that is the most normal thing for it to be. Dead in the day and busy at night. Just because you don't have a job doesn't mean these people don't work.
You raggedy bitch.
Exactly. But he's like, okay, well, Marv, you go check it out. So Marv heads up to the house. He goes to the back door. Kevin is washing dishes when he spots Marv trying to open the back door. Then he tries the doggy door. So that's when Kevin throws on Angels with Filthy Souls to the pump you full of lead scene, the shooting scene. So now hearing this, Marv is convinced that this conversation is really happening.
And not a movie.
And not a movie that's happening. He is like, oh, these people are actually having these conversations. And that's when Kevin comes up with this idea. So he's like, during the shooting scene, to make it extra razzle dazzle, because he's like, okay, yeah, the little Nero's boy doesn't seem like the brightest. Maybe this guy's a little bit smarter. And he's trying to make sure it works. So he's going to set off fireworks in a pot by the door to really pump up the sound and make it sound real. And it works. Marv is terrified, and he ends up running to the car, and he relays to Harry that some other guys beat them to the job and that one of them, Snakes, just got blown away inside. So he wants to head out. But Harry is like, no, we work this neighborhood too. Let's see who these guys are. In case the cops start questioning people about a murder in the area, we want them to know it wasn't us. So they wait. And eventually Kevin comes out to cut down a little tree for Christmas, and they spot him. So that's when they realize that they've been scammed by a kindergartner, as Harry says. And so they go look through the window to make extra sure, and that's when they realize that he is definitely home alone, which in my opinion should still mean that you cannot rob this house. But Harry ends up making the diabolical decision to come back around 9 p.m. and rob the house anyway, even with Kevin there. So Kevin overhears their plan, and he's obviously scared, and so he's like, oh, great, I had to come up with another plan tonight. Back at the airport, Kate has now made it all the way to Scranton, Pennsylvania. And at this point, there are absolutely no flights to Chicago that day. There wouldn't be one until the next afternoon. So Kate starts to lose it. And at this point, she is telling this probably very poorly paid airport employee that she is ready to sell her soul to the devil himself in order to get home, which is really putting this lowly airport employee in an extremely awkward position. I cannot make a space on a plane.
Right. And Christmas.
You're asking a lot.
And where is she again? Somewhere in Pennsylvania? It's not like she's like, in Philly.
That too. Yeah. So she's in Scranton. So it's a smaller airport. He's like, I'm doing the best I fucking can.
Shit.
That's when Gus Polanski, the polka king of the Midwest, and his band, the Kenosha Kickers, they overhear Kate's plight.
and they offer some help. While he's offering the help, just like introducing himself, he starts rambling about his greatest hits, his songs that she's never fucking heard of, that nobody's ever fucking heard of. And she's like, "I'm sorry, what are you talking to me again for?" So he's like, "Yeah, that's fair. Let me get to the fucking point." He says that they're renting a big van in order to head to Milwaukee. And as they're going to Milwaukee, they're definitely going to pass through Chicago. So he offers to drop her off. So she agrees and they head out. Later that night, Kevin heads to the one person that he thinks can help him, and that is Santa Claus. Obviously, it's not the real Santa. It's a mall type Santa that has just like a kiosk in the city. He goes to him and he catches Santa smoking and getting in his busted car. And Kevin's like, I get it that you're not the real Santa, but can you please send him a message for me? This is very important. He asked this Santa to let the real Santa know that this year he doesn't want any presents at all. All he wants is his family back, which I feel like that's an extremely alarming thing for a child to say. But this Santa is just like, okay, will do. So now Kevin is heading home lamenting, and as he's passing the church, he ends up hearing the choir singing, so he heads inside. Inside, to his surprise, he finds Old Man Marley, and he's understandably scared. But Marley comes over to sit next to him and tell him Merry Christmas. And even though Kevin is confused, they begin to talk, have a conversation. And Old Man Marley points out his granddaughter, who is in the choir. She's singing, she's about Kevin's age. Marley then tells Kevin that when Kevin sees him, he doesn't have to be afraid of him. He knows that there are a lot of rumors swirling about him, but none of them are true. He's not a bad guy. So they keep talking, and that's when Kevin confides in Old Man Marley that he hasn't been that great this year. He's been a little naughty. He's just kind of been a pain the whole year, which it's nice that he can recognize that. He also tells Marley that he feels bad because he really does like his family, even though he says he doesn't, and sometimes thinks he doesn't, which Marley completely understands because he also has a very complicated relationship with his family. So Marley confides in Kevin that he came to see his granddaughter sing now during choir rehearsal because he can't come later in the night during the actual recital because he isn't welcome there, because
he and his son had a falling out years ago and now they can't even be in the same room together.
Apparently Marley told his son he never wanted to see him again, and his son reciprocated that, and they just never spoke again. So Kevin, being a child, things just are very, very simple to him. He's just like, well, why don't you just call him? And Marley admits that he's too scared of what he might say. A lot of time has passed at this point. So Kevin starts to explain in this very innocent, childlike way. He's like, when I was afraid of my basement, I never even wanted to go down there. But then he says that he made himself do laundry down there and realized that there wasn't anything to be afraid of anyway. His point is Marley will never know if there really is something to be afraid of when calling his son if he doesn't just try calling his son. He has no idea what he's going to say.
And Old Man Marley really considers this.
They chat a little bit more. They shake hands, part ways. Then Kevin runs home. As the clock is chiming, he knows that he needs this time to prepare. So this is when the movie kicks it into overdrive.
First things first, he shows us this elaborate map made of crayons.
It's pretty serious.
It's a layout of his whole house with plans for all of his booby traps placed strategically throughout.
He's not fucking around.
Nope.
And it's giving very much Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
We talked about that in our episode. I actually think we compared the two movies then.
Right.
I wrote in my notes, I wouldn't even say Kevin's traps are more wholesome or anything, because some of the stuff that Kevin is setting up looks really, really dangerous. And he was like, I don't care if they die.
Why didn't he just call someone? Why didn't he tell Old Man Marley? I just feel like if they would have gotten there and Old Man Marley was there, they would have ran.
Yes, they wouldn't have gone in if there was an adult there.
But I really do think that on some level, even if he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen, I think that Kevin is aware that if he tells anyone, whether it be the police or Old Man Marley, that he is home alone and these things are happening, that something is going to have to change for him. Old Man Marley isn't just going to come to his house that night and protect him from the burglars and then leave. Once he lets people in on the fact that his family is gone, they're going to have to get somebody involved. And Kevin might not know the intricacies of that, but they're going to have to call Child Protective Services. Like, nobody's just going to leave him there by himself. And I think that's evidenced by how quickly he comes up with the lies to tell the girl at the grocery store, because he doesn't want her to know that he's a kid out shopping alone.
Right.
And so I'm sure he doesn't want to go to foster care for Christmas. You know, he's like, well, I'd like to stay at my house. I just don't want to get robbed.
Because it's definitely not that he doesn't know to call 911, because he does end up calling 911 to his neighbor's house. He just doesn't want to be involved with any of that. So I think in his 8-year-old brain, he's thinking, okay, if they come in here and everything goes to plan, then I'll get them to the neighbor's house. They'll end up getting arrested, and I'll be able to just kind of continue hanging out at my house by myself, doing my own thing, and nothing will have to change.
And respectfully, like, they're really kind of killing his vibe.
No, straight up.
Because had they not tried to rob him, he's really taking care of himself.
Oh, for sure. But yes, so
Kevin finishes his prep. It's apparently a lot. And he sits down to have a very lovely macaroni and cheese and milk dinner. But before he even takes a single bite, the clock chimes 9 p.m. He jumps up, grabs his BB gun, and gets ready for a fight. And this keeps me up at night.
Don't relate.
Dante, there's nothing in the world that would have stopped me from eating that fucking macaroni and cheese.
I was like, my friend would have been like at the door of her bowl.
We would have gotten this thing started as I'm eating my mac and cheese. I need my strength. What are you asking of me? He lights these fucking candles. You could have been scarfing down that macaroni. You're setting the table and shit. You don't have time. Eat the macaroni. I think about it all the time. Despicable.
I always think about that. I was like, she would have been like, oh, we gonna eat.
No, I'm going to eat. So he does all this just in time because Harry and Marv have arrived and they head to the back door where Kevin is waiting. As they're trying to convince Kevin to open the door, Kevin sticks his BB gun out of the doggy door and he shoots Harry like right in the crotch area, like right in the balls. So Harry collapses to the ground fighting for his life. And so Marv decides that it would be a good idea to stick his head inside the doggy door where Kevin is waiting, gun aimed, and they make eye contact before Kevin shoots Marv in the middle of the forehead. That's when they decide to split up. So Harry is going to head to the front door and Marv is going to head to the basement door. As each of them gets to an entryway, there's stairs. Both of them absolutely bust their asses because Kevin has sprayed both entryways with cold water. And at this point, it's frozen over because it's so cold in Chicago right now. So Marv heads to the basement door, which is unlocked, which he doesn't find suspicious for some reason. So inside, Marv tries pulling a light switch, but when he does, an iron comes falling from like 13 feet down the laundry chute, and it hits Marv right in the face. It hits him so hard, it leaves an iron-shaped whelp mark in the middle of his face.
Was the iron even on?
No.
So it had to hit him hard.
It had to hit him hard as fuck because it's immediate welt in the face. But at the front door, so Harry is finally able to make it up the stairs and he makes a horrible mistake.
He ends up grabbing the McAllister's monogrammed doorknob. So Kevin, what he doesn't know, has used this electric charcoal starter to heat the knob up on the other side. So the knob is literally red hot. So after he grabs it, it essentially melts his skin and it causes Harry to fall backwards, crawl down the stairs, and dunk his burning hand in the snow. And it actually leaves a seared M in his hand, which he has in the second movie.
Right. And they still haven't left.
Dante, at this point, I don't know what's in this house, but it's not fucking worth it. Harry is paralyzed. His hand is permanently monogrammed. Marv has severe brain damage. This is insane. So, in the basement, Marv has recovered and he starts climbing the basement stairs inside the house. But Kevin has them totally covered in tar. So, because of that, Marv is losing his shoes and his socks as they get stuck in the tar because tar dries pretty quickly and it's very strong. While he's doing that, he's struggling to get the stairs. He doesn't notice
No.
that there is about a 6-inch nail sticking up out of the stairs, which Kevin put there. Marv steps right on the nail, goes right in his foot. It hurts so badly that he instantly falls back down all the stairs. And he probably has tetanus now.
That's a very bad scene.
I don't even think that's like the worst thing that happens to him.
In this movie, yes. I think it is.
I mean, it's definitely tense. We're going to see in a couple of seconds. He's about to fuck his feet up.
Oh, they mess his feet up.
Yes.
Oh, I just thought about the other part. Oh, no.
Yes. So Harry decides at this point that he's going to head to the back door, which is open. There's no heated doorknob. There's no BB gun at the doggy door. So he's going to enter here. But when he opens it, there's something even fucking worse there.
It's a blowtorch.
It's positioned maybe like 2 feet away from Harry's cranium. And there is a cord that gets pulled along with the door when it comes open. So when Harry opened it, it causes this insane flame to come pouring out
Onto the top of Harry's head.
for no less, I mean, he stands there for no less than 10 full, like 1 Mississippi ass seconds. At this point, Harry's head is literally on fire. He runs outside, dunks his head in the snow. His scalp is non existent at this point. He is literally smoking sitting there.
Go home.
Or the nearest hospital with a burn ward. It's not worth it, I promise.
But Harry doesn't give up. He just runs back into the house, kicking the door open. So now Marv has left the basement. He's trying another entrance when he spots an open window.
Not learning lessons.
No. He climbs in not delicately at all. He just slams his bare feet on the ground, right on all these tiny little glass ornaments
That Kevin has placed in front of the window.
shredding his feet.
I hate that kind of torture. That's pain.
Yeah, there's probably 1,000 shards of glass in his feet.
Meanwhile, Kevin has baited Harry into, I guess, the most tame booby trap in the whole movie. So essentially, Harry runs into a room and there's a wall of saran wrap that he runs into, and it has an adhesive on it. The saran wrap gets all over his face. Once he pulls it off, it leaves the adhesive behind. And then there's a cord that's attached to a fan that blows feathers all over him, making him, what Marv says, look like a chicken. So I guess that one was more humiliating than anything.
Yeah.
So they did a lot. They've gone through a lot. But at this point now, they are, at the very least, in the house. So they keep going. So now Kevin baits them, calling them morons and telling them to come upstairs and get him.
When they run towards the stairs, they end up slipping on a bunch of toy cars that Kevin placed on the floor, knocking the wind out of them.
Do you think to yourself at this point, you're in the house, then y'all come here to steal?
Yes.
Start stealing.
I guess at this point, they are taking this really personally, that they also want to get some kind of revenge on this kid. I mean, Harry got his head set on fire.
What I'm saying is, their ass was stupid all around.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. They are stupid. But Kevin continues to bait them, so they then head upstairs. When Kevin ends up throwing down a full paint can attached to a rope, and it nails Marv in the face, and really nails him, and he flies backwards down the stairs. So Harry thinks this is a game, and he continues up the stairs, and so Kevin obviously has
another paint can.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What are you trying to prove?
I don't know. I mean, Harry doesn't have a scalp anymore.
It's time to call it.
But, of course, Kevin ends up throwing another paint can, and it pelts Harry in the face, knocking him backwards down the stairs and landing right on top of Marv. So Harry is seething at this point, and he's now missing his gold tooth, so he is out for blood. Upstairs, Kevin quickly calls the police before trying to run to the attic, but not the police to come to his house, but the police to go to his neighbor's house, because that is his plan. He's going to head over there.
So Kevin has already set up this tripwire in the hallway upstairs on the way to the attic to slow down Harry and Marv as they're chasing him.
He runs over it, but Harry gets taken out by it pretty quickly. Marv jumps over it, and he's able to catch Kevin by the ankle. Luckily, Buzz's pet tarantula is there, in reach, and Kevin picks it up and places it on Marv's face, and the scream that Marv lets out is outrageous. It's a scream that will rival every other horror scream that you could think of. Like, Marv is scared for his life, and you can tell.
The real scream queen.
Absolutely.
So the spider ends up landing on Harry's chest, and Marv uses a crowbar to try to smash it. I mean, turning Harry's sternum into fruit punch. The way he beats on Harry's chest, I mean, he liquefies those bones. But they're able to both bounce back very quickly, and I do not understand how. My feet would probably be fucked up for weeks after if I stepped on a whole bunch of glass ornaments.
Weeks.
So now Kevin was able to run away into the attic,
and he's able to zip line to his tree house using a rope that he's installed between the two.
When Harry and Marv get there, Kevin baits them again, calling them horses' asses and telling them to come and get him.
Marv wants to run back through Kevin's house in order to get to the neighbor's house to stop Kevin from calling the police, but Harry is really hesitant to do that because his whole thing is,
if we go back through that house, who fucking knows what'll happen to us? He's like, there could be booby traps that we didn't even encounter yet. We could die in there. So he's like, the only reasonable thing to do is to get our big unhealthy asses out on this zip line,
only using
total upper body strength. Cross this thing relying solely on our fucking guns. And I don't think that they would have been able to do that.
Not at all.
That's fine, though, because Kevin has something for that ass. So Kevin was prepared for this. He pulls out some huge gardening shears, and when they are about midway across, he cuts the rope, and he sends Harry and Marv plummeting, swinging straight into a brick building. So at this point, Kevin is running to the Murphy's house, and he heads in through the basement, which he's surprised to find is completely flooded at this point. I mean,
water up to his shins. But he makes it through the basement and runs up the stairs to the door leading into the house. When he opens it, he's shocked to find that Harry and Marv have made it there first. They cut him off.
So they grab him and they hang him by a hook on the wall. And now, at this point, they're very, very pissed.
So they want to hurt him the way that he's hurt them.
So they start telling him they want to hurt his head with a blowtorch, smash his face with an iron, shove a nail through his foot, bite off his fingers. But what they don't notice is that during all of this, Old Man Marley has followed them and ends up smashing both of them in the head and face with a shovel, knocking them out cold, and then carrying Kevin to safety. Police finally arrive and they do end up getting arrested. And thankfully, because of Marv's utter stupidity of turning on the water and flooding people's homes, they are able to connect Harry and Marv to every single house that they have robbed. So as they're pulling off, Harry takes one more sad, pathetic look back at the McAllister home because he didn't get a chance to rob it like he wanted to.
And he sees Kevin in the window, smiling and waving. And I know that Harry was probably hot. So then Kevin cleans up his house, and he gets it fully prepared for Christmas morning. He sits out milk and cookies for Santa, he hangs stockings, he wraps presents, just hoping that by some miracle his family does come back for Christmas Day.
Meanwhile, we check in with Kate
on this 12-hour drive
in the polka van. She's lamenting, she's feeling like a shit mother.
And while Gus Polinski doesn't offer her the best advice, he does give her some comfort by telling her that every parent makes mistakes and that she is absolutely not a shit mother, and kids are really resilient, so he believes that Kevin will get over this. So now we cut to the next day, and it is Christmas morning. Kevin wakes up, there's fresh snow outside, and the first thing he does is run downstairs looking for his mother because he is really, really hopeful that she's going to be there for Christmas. And he is so disappointed when he finds a totally empty house.
So feeling defeated, he heads outside and sees nothing but quiet, snowy streets. He heads back inside just as the polka van pulls up to drop Kate off.
As Kevin is sorrowfully sitting on his parents' bed, just looking at a picture of his family, he's surprised to hear his mother, Kate, come through the door and call his name.
Kevin rushes downstairs, and Kate just immediately starts apologizing to Kevin for leaving him, while Kevin pretends to be mad.
But just for a second, because he can't help but get a huge smile on his face and run to hug his mom, who he's missed so much.
He wants to know where the rest of the family is, and just as Kate is apologizing, telling him that they couldn't make it, the whole family comes barreling through the front door, surprising them both.
Putting the final tee-hee-hee on her. Because ain't that nothing.
No, Dante, it's actually really insane because when I think about how long she was in the back of that Penske truck with those grown-ass men sweating, playing music all loud, polka music all loud in my fucking ear when I'm trying to get home for Christmas,
I'm mad for her.
Frank and Pete were probably in first class.
That's a bullshit.
No, yeah, that's Dante.
She should be mad.
Dante, yes. I know that she is probably really, really heated because
she gave away her watch.
She did give away her watch. And I couldn't imagine being jet lagged and then flying to 4 different fucking cities and then getting in the back of a Penske truck with 12 overweight, sweaty men playing polka music. Dante, I might have killed myself.
Not even in a seat.
No, she's in the back of a fucking movie theater. She's on like a fucking bucket that they have back there. I don't know. I know it's uncomfortable. If she's anything like me, back is on fire.
And I get it. I know that Pete didn't enjoy himself. And Kate, I'm sure, was like, I wouldn't have been able to have any, not just fun, but just I wouldn't have been able to get any rest. I would have been a wreck the whole time because I'm just thinking about I need to get home to my son. So I totally get why she did what she did.
But ultimately, you just did a whole bunch of foolishness.
And they just got there like 2 minutes later and rode first class. They were eating Biscoff cookies and shit.
They told her the way. She's like, I'm not leaving this airport. This is on a plane to Chicago.
I feel like they were lucky to even get the flights back on Friday.
Right. Because they flew on Christmas Day.
Exactly. And by that point, everybody's like at their destination. Okay, I digress. Let's just finish this out. So, everybody's in the house now at this point, and they all get a good laugh. They all hug. They're happy to be together on Christmas. And that's when Kate says that she needs to find an open store because they don't even have milk in the house. And Kevin pipes up and he's like, "No, girl, I went shopping." And they're shocked. And they ask him what else did he do when they were away. And he says, "Oh, just hung around." And they all laugh, even though they don't know what the hell he's talking about. And then they go their separate ways, probably to shower. And the dad ends up finding Harry's gold tooth on the floor,
which Kevin just ignores.
But Kevin sees through the window. He sees old man Marley's family is at his house visiting. His granddaughter is there along with his son and his daughter-in-law, and they're embracing because they did make up, because old man Marley took Kevin's advice and he just fucking called him. Kevin is watching, smiling. It's a beautiful scene. It's snowy. When all of a sudden he hears Buzz yell from upstairs, "Kevin, what did you do to my room?" And a shocked Kevin runs off before the screen cuts to black. And that is the end of the movie.
So heartwarming.
Holiday classic.
Truly a forever holiday classic.
But surprisingly, Dante, the Rotten Tomatoes for this movie, it's only a 66 critic score. I don't know, for some reason that doesn't sit right with me. And then an 80% audience score.
And a 7.8 out of 10.
With 671,000 reviews on IMDb.
And I was like, okay, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Fun facts. So this is the highest grossing movie of 1990 domestically. Ghost was the highest grossing movie worldwide. So this movie was actually entered into the Guinness Book of World Records
as the highest grossing comedy movie. And it stayed that way until Bruce Almighty came out in 2003, which surpassed it. And then since it's been surpassed by other more modern movies, but it stayed at the top for 13 years.
It's so good.
It really is.
So in 2023, it was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, who deemed it culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
So another funny little fact, not necessarily about this movie, but I just really want to share it.
John Hughes, who is the producer for this movie, also writer, he originally brought on Chris Columbus, who's the director for this movie, to direct National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But even before the cameras could roll, Chris Columbus, he said that he realized that he could not work with Chevy Chase. He disliked him that much after meeting him. He was like, "I can't even make this movie." He forewent the bag because he hated Chevy Chase that much. Isn't that crazy?
First of all, it is. But why is it a fun fact for this movie?
Let me tell you why it's a fun fact for this movie.
I was like, why are we telling people this shit?
That's a really good point. That's such a good point, because people are probably like, "Bitch, okay, what does that have to do with this movie?" Let me finish, because there's more to it. So he was like, he hated Chevy Chase so much he couldn't do the movie. So he was like kind of broke at this point. So he was pretty desperate in his career, because prior to that would have been a big break for him, because National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was a really big movie. I mean, people still watch that to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris Columbus decided to quit the project, and he was worried that it would end his career. He never thought that he would get another chance to direct again, because he was being kind of difficult, because usually I think it's like directors can kind of push through. But Hughes brought him in and he was like, "Look, I will give you a chance." He was like, "You can either direct Christmas Vacation
or you can direct this movie that I have, Home Alone. Chris Columbus jumped at the opportunity to direct Home Alone because he was like, I really need to direct something. I need a hit right now, and I cannot work with Chevy Chase. So that's how he ended up getting Home Alone instead, which would obviously become an insanely huge hit just 1 year later, just 1 year after Christmas Vacation came out. And it would end up earning 6 times the amount of money that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation earned. And it did it with a budget of almost $10 million less.
So always know that if you don't fuck with somebody, you ain't gotta fuck with them.
Dante, that is an excellent, excellent life lesson to take from this. You don't have to fuck with nobody.
That it'll all work out.
One door closed and another one opened, and he made a more successful movie.
How unpleasant do you have to be that somebody is like, yo, I just won't eat?
No, I hear bad things about Chevy Chase all the time. I think it's pretty known that Chevy Chase is not a nice person.
That's crazy.
I know. So Chris Columbus, his career really didn't take off. He didn't get massively successful until Home Alone. And because Home Alone was so successful, that's what allowed him to direct Mrs. Doubtfire. And then obviously Mrs. Doubtfire was very successful. And that's what opened the door for him to direct the first 2 Harry Potter movies. And he never had to work with Chevy Chase.
This is crazy to think that you can be that awful of a person.
I know.
So another fact, so the part of Kevin was written by John Hughes specifically for Macaulay Culkin because Macaulay Culkin had worked with John Hughes on the movie Uncle Buck.
So he always knew that he wanted it to be Macaulay Culkin. Chris Columbus was really hesitant about casting Macaulay Culkin. So according to the DVD commentaries, so Columbus was really hesitant to cast Macaulay Culkin because Hughes had so recently cast him in Uncle Buck. And Chris Columbus said he didn't want to appear as a pushover in the film industry, which I don't really know why that would be. But he auditioned several other boys for the part. But he did say that after auditioning all those other young actors, he realized that Macaulay Culkin was actually the best choice for the part because Macaulay Culkin was like, he was killing it in the child actors category.
I'm just trying to understand, just like, you just trying to prove a point?
Yeah, essentially.
I think because he was directing, he wanted to be able to say, I have control over who the star of my movie is going to be.
You should have been grateful.
Right, because it was either work with Chevy Chase or be homeless. Those are the only other options.
Right.
So those are all the facts that I had. And I think that you said that you had some fun facts that you wanted to share.
Okay. Did you know that Kevin's sister, Lenny, the one who says,
You're what the French call les incompetents?
Yes. So she is the final girl in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Angela Goethals is her name.
Yeah. And then Old Man Marley, he was in this movie called Deranged, which is about Ed Gein. And, you know, all those movies are based about Ed Gein. Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw.
Yes.
So even though this is a holiday film, it still kind of has some horror connection.
That's really cool. I did not know those facts. Realistically, I have so many fun facts in my notes, but it's just like there's so much stuff to this movie.
So much like trivia.
Yes.
There's so much trivia.
Yes. So I just kind of got tired and I was just kind of like picking things that I thought were very interesting, but that is very interesting. It's a way to tie it back to horror because it is a horror movie podcast, even though we're doing this bonus episode.
But yes.
So with all that being said, what do you give this movie, a hit or a miss?
Hit. There's no notes to say. This is just a great movie to watch. It's a Christmas staple. It's a classic. It'll never get old.
Yes.
No notes. None. Even though we had 2 hours of notes that we just gave you guys.
Well, yeah, besides those notes.
No, but I agree. I think this movie is definitely 100% a hit. I love Home Alone. I go back and forth between how I feel. I really like the second one too. I
Love
think
it.
that this one is a classic, but I do think that the second one is more fun. So I do go back and forth, but this movie is a classic, and I agree. There's no notes. I think that it's a great movie. I mean, that's why we chose to do it as a bonus episode. I'm really excited. Hopefully next year we could do the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. This movie it's really holds up very well. I think it holds up and I think that it always will.
Yes.
I think it'll always be a good movie.
So yeah, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I have nothing to add except we love you guys. Thank you so much for another year of success with the podcast. And we hope that whatever holidays you celebrate around this time, you get to spend it with the people you love.
That was very beautiful.
I would like to second what Dante said. Whatever holidays you guys are celebrating this year, thank you for spending this little bit of time with us. We always appreciate you.
We hope you have a great one.
And yeah, we'll see you again
in 2026.
Did you want to tell them about the social media?
Okay. We love to hear from you guys. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook with the handle Did You Get That on Film? You can also email us at didyougеттhatonfilm@gmail.com. For our Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners, leave us a review as well as a rating. Reviews are the best way to support the podcast and help it reach a further audience.
That sounds great.
And that's it for this week. We hope to be back soon with a brand new episode. So until then,
bye!